And one of certainly the things that we've discovered in the course of this project and other work is that issues of client confidentiality or privacy remain really brick barriers to the conversations and understanding our roles. And I just wanted to ask you what your experiences were with that, both in the positive and in the challenges.
Well, I think it's one of the first things we learn, like maybe the first day, like before you can go with a patient ever. Remember, confidentiality is the thing. I do no harm, but also you must not talk about anything in the elevator, you must not talk in whatever. So, but it is so, like we drown that into confidentiality.
Yeah, and concerns regarding that, both in terms of the relationship, the client and patient relationship, as well as with your own profession,
yeah.
Right? And the college.
It's also a question about working in a team, in one service or one agency, where actually you can have some case discussions, but also having those protocols between agencies about what can we share and not share, because everybody knows about those horror stories that at one point somebody dies or something like that, and you realize that many people knew, but they were not talking to each other, so it was kind of all silo intervention. And if we would have had that type of a protocol or an agreement, and sometimes maybe it's not good that it's the agency to the agency. Maybe it's from one practitioner to another because they build those type of trust relationship. But I think it's very important. Some things need to be said. They have to be said correctly, but they have to be said.
Well, I think that whole notion of protocols is important, because one of the agencies that I deal with, which deals with people in the end stages of life, their protocol there is that any member of the team, and the client they sign understanding this as coming into the program, is that anything you share with any member of this team will be shared with other members of the team if it's felt necessary to help that team member function and to provide the best care. So they realize it's not, I can't kind of pit the nurse against the social worker, against the physician. Well, I'm going to tell you this, but don't tell the doctor. They understand, the client knows, if you disclose this, it will be shared with the other team members, because we use kind of a holistic model. But I mean, they're very upfront with that, and the client knows that right from the beginning, as do all members of the team.
But the tricky part is when it's like, now, so am I going to maybe contact the police?
Yes.
Or now, am I going to contact somebody in a different agency? But really, contacting the police.
That's a big one.
Are they really part of the care team? Are they, and are you going to jeopardize the relationship, or maybe do something that you weren't supposed to do? Maybe, I don't know, break a law or something, even by contacting the police.
Yeah, I think those issues also are raised now by the fact that in many agencies we have a computerized file, so many people can access to the same computerized file, and some practitioners are actually so careful about what they will put or not put into it, knowing that the others can see it. So, and I think it's a new way of working, and it does raise some questions.
Do you find that there's privacy challenges in the medical profession?
Absolutely, everywhere. Both verbal, written, electronic. Who has access to lists of medications? Even what medications? If you give a physician a list of medications, you can guess a lot of diagnoses, and you can sort of infer a lot of different things. Same thing. If you're reading a report, you can read between the lines sometimes, and sometimes you should be saying things, and sometimes not. So it becomes very complicated, very, very complicated.
And in social work?
I think it comes down to what Lynn was saying. It's just this whole confusion around under what circumstances are we obligated, not even for professional associations in terms of our codes. It's different from province to province, and I think there's just so much gray area that people tend to err on the side of caution, that I would rather say less than to disclose too much and possibly risk my license or put my organization in jeopardy. So I think people tend to be very, very cautious because of that lack of knowledge or certainty around what they can or can't do.